What's going on, OKC fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Bring the Thunder podcast. We're back to our normal episodes now because our Thunder won the finals. So, no more playoff discussions. We got nothing else to discuss about that. You guys know how that went. So, today we're going to get into some draft stuff. We're just now finishing up with the second round, and then we're going to get into some of the trades that have been happening. But yeah, let's go ahead and start with the draft on our end. We'll talk about both of our picks. Our first rounder was Sorber, and then our second rounder that we just made today. So, Savir, if you want, you can go ahead and lay out the picks and whatnot. Any details with that?
Yeah. So Oklahoma City Thunder selected Thomas Sorber at the number 15 pick in this draft. I actually really loved the draft. The more I looked at it, I think I mentioned like 5 key things that I liked about him. He has length, strength. He's a great passer, great on the defensive end, great in the interior. Just brings the energy and chemistry we're also looking for. Like he kind of gets it, and it's pretty evident with kind of his interviews and everything else. So those kind of 5 key points that I was looking at kind of makes him the perfect player. I think I mentioned in our previous video on the channel, just only talking about Sorber, was I gave him like an A- grade. At 15, I think he was the best player available. And also he's the second best defensive like front court guy that we could have picked at number 15. So I think Presti worked his magic, got the right guy. He probably fell a little bit due to his injury because I've looked at his highlights before his college highlights, and this kid was something else. Like he's not, he brings a lot of energy. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, I remember kind of waiting for this pick, not really knowing where we were going to go. There were definitely Sorber had been mentioned a lot, and I was seeing him get mocked to us a lot. So I was thinking about it, but I was just excited to see who it was going to be. And the second they said Sorber and they started showing some of those highlights, his physicals and whatnot, I mean, it does just feel like a great pick, a very Sam Presti pick. He does everything Sam wants, and then you see him dropping dimes and hitting the backdoor cuts and passes and whatnot. And you're like, yeah, all right, that makes sense. But the wingspan, 7'6" wingspan is ridiculous. It's already one of the top in the entire league. That is crazy. Listen, the guy, he fits the need. The backup big. We can run, if we're running our small ball and throwing him in at the 5, I love that. I think that's great for him. If you look, he shot very poorly from 3. It was like 16%, I believe. It's not a bad looking shot. It doesn't look broken. It doesn't look awful. I'm not saying he's going to come out as a stretch big, but there's potential there. He can shoot from the mid range. There's some potential with the shot. I'd like to see him work on that. But outside of that, like Savir said, the chemistry side of it, he almost felt like a Thunder fan. I mean, he knew we were talking to him, obviously, with Preston and whatnot, but he had been retweeting Thunder-related content. He'd been going to playoff games. He went to our game 2 against Minnesota. He talked about OKC being the loudest home crowd in the NBA. I mean, and then, of course, you see the TikToks and all that fun stuff. And it's just an exciting pick. And
he also visited OKC before the draft,
which is just awesome to hear. I mean, that's always good to know that it's not like Presti went out on a whim and just chose him at the last second. Like, this was intentional. But another last thing I want to mention was it's always good to see the player you pick cry when he gets picked because it means something to him. And nowadays, there's not a lot of players that get as emotional as they probably should be. So he was very emotional. It was cool to hear his story. He's got a super nice story. So I'm hyped for it. I'm not saying it's like the greatest pick in the history of NBA and he's going to be an all-star, but it's a good pick. Presti did his job, and I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I like the pick. Like you said, the story, I like his character, which is kind of what OKC's built on. And then you go to the talent. Sapir mentioned it. Length, size. He's 6'10". He could roll to the rim pretty well. He's a work in progress. He was a freshman, right? So I think he could step in and play minutes right away. I know he had the foot injury in February, so we'll see if we get to see him in Summer League or not. I don't know if that's even come out yet, but capable passer. And, yeah, if he works on that 3, it looks like he has a decent form. And we have guys who come into OKC can't shoot a lick, and now we have Lou Dort shooting damn near 50% from three in the finals, right? So gives you hope, a lot of potential, a lot of upside. And I hate to say it, but if there is a world where we have to move Hartenstein, not this year, obviously, but next or the year after, this kid hopefully could slide right into that role. He looks like he's got a lot of potential. I'm going to give it, not that we're grading it here, but I give it like a B. He's good. I mean, he's a solid player. I think he could step in. I just don't know what the ceiling is. I know the floor is going to be solid, so we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. I really hope he does, despite the injury. I really hope he does come around for Summer League because I just want to see – you just immediately want to see him. When you see a player, your team gets drafts, you're just so desperate to see him play.
And we missed out on our first rounder last year in Topa.
So I would love to see those two get some action together. So hopefully that injury doesn't affect him too bad. But
he's going to be a great lob threat with Topic on the pick and roll. They're going to be wreaking some havoc. One thing I wanted to mention as well that you'll notice from his highlights, he's a great face-up player when it comes to mid-range shots. Mm-hmm. So that kind of gives me a lot more hope than just looking at free throws. Like that's usually an indicator. But if someone can hit free or mid-range pretty consistently, like you've seen, I'm not going to compare them obviously, but Shai went from like a mid-range shooter to developing his three-point shot. So when I see him facing up and being very comfortable taking face-up, guarded, mid-range shots, I think that bodes well for him considering his form is good. So I'm actually pretty excited to see, but also speaking about his ceiling is he can be an impact player this year. He's a young guy. He's going to be 20 going into this season. Like he's 19 now, but he'll be 20 later on into the season. And I feel like he's a guy like he's going to come on quickly in the first couple months and then start earning minutes similar to Cason Wallace. Like we saw Cason Wallace come in and he got more and more minutes as the season went on. I think the same case is going to be this guy. Like it's going to be hard to keep him off the floor just because of his size. Like we don't have that many other guys that are coming in with the size and strength of him. So it's like, it's so easy when you have so much spacing on the floor where even if he's the 4-man instead of Hartenstein, like we don't really need him to shoot. Like he'll get so many easy open buckets, especially at the dunker position. He's going to be living there. And this is kind of exactly what I was looking for Presti to draft for so long. Like last person I could think of that we had similar to this is like Serge Ibaka. So I'm really pumped up for this. We haven't had a guy like this.
I honestly think he's kind of very similar to Isaiah Hartenstein. Maybe a little bit better of a shot blocker, a little less of an offensive engine, but very similar players. Yes. And it fits a need. If it's a need, I just want to stress the defense. I mean, the dude was known for his defense, 2 blocks and about 2 steals in college. Stepping into the best defense in the NBA, or last year's best defense in the NBA, should be a pretty good fit.
The way I wanted to say this real quick, he can be an offensive engine in my opinion because of the way he handles the ball and he play makes. We needed another additional playmakers, and we got 2 of them in this draft. We'll obviously move over to the other person here real quick, but his playmaking ability is really underrated. Like from a young age, there's a bunch of highlights of him. He's been a shot maker, like off of the dribble, but his playmaking is right up there as well. Like it's actually really impressive. So the Hartenstein comparison is right there, but I think he can be a step above that because he's a little bit more mobile. He can go out and guard 2s and 1s even. That's a special talent to have at 6'10". I feel like Hartenstein can do it, but maybe not for long stretches or anything. That's why he kind of got, less and less minutes as the playoffs went on. Yeah. That won't happen with this kid. I think the other thing that he needs to focus on is his motor. You can bring in energy for spurts, but I want to see him do it, for a full season. I think that'll be something new for him. So hopefully he keeps that up too.
Yeah, there was one more thing I wanted to mention about him. Something about – it's not just the concept of something, but being drafted by the team that just won the finals, but more specifically by Sam Presti, that's a big confidence booster. That's a big thing for the motivation for him as well. I mean, Presti is not known as a guy who's just going to draft you because he got tired of looking at players and just chose a guy. Like he saw something in Sorber, clearly. He saw a long time ago because he had meetings with him, pre-draft workouts and whatnot, and he went with Sorber. So I'd like to think that Sorber you talk about that like motor and whatnot. That's a huge confidence booster. I mean, Sam Presti has faith in you to go out and choose you at pick 15. That's a big thing. So I hope he really understands, like, and that's not a pressure thing. It's not to say like if you mess up, Presti was wrong about you. Like, that's not what it is. It's a Sam Presti, the GM who just built this team that won the finals through drafting, has chosen you. Like, that is a very, very impactful thing. So I'm expecting great things from him for sure. I'm excited.
Yeah. Let's move over to the Thunder selecting Brooks Barnhizer with the 44th pick in the 2025 draft. He's a defensive-minded 6'6" wing out of Northwestern. He averaged 17 points, 41% shooting overall, 8.8 rebounds, 1.5 offensive rebounds. So that bodes well for his rebounding. 4.2 assists, 2.3 steals, 1.1 blocks. So in a total, he's averaging 3.4 stocks last season with that team. So he's definitely a Sam Presti type of guy, hardworking guy. We can see that from his highlights, from his interviews. I think he's going to be a perfect fit in Oklahoma, where if you're given like a two-way contract that he can work himself, into the lineup, or, at least have an opportunity to do so. So what are y'all thoughts on him?
I mean, in the nicest way possible, I feel like he's more of a let's see how the summer league goes kind of guy. He's we have the pick, we might as well draft him, let him play in the summer league. Presti has to like him to an extent, obviously. So I like the guy, let's have him, let's see what he does in the summer league. And if he earns a spot in the summer league, he'll stick around. If he doesn't, if he isn't showing signs and whatnot, I see a world where he essentially doesn't end up sticking with the team. And I hope that's not the case, because I do like him. I like what he offers. I don't think he's some terrible player. I don't think it's like an awful pick or anything. It's a late second round pick or a mid second round pick. Like that's just kind of what the second round offers. So on one hand, like I'm okay with giving anybody that Presti thinks has opportunity a chance. Like if Presti sees something, I'll trust him. Like I'm okay with watching in the summer league. Do I think he'll turn out to be super good? I'm going to say no, but that's nothing against him as a player. It's just our team is too good for a player of this caliber. So right now I'm excited to see what he does in the summer league. I will be surprised if he's with us in the regular season.
Yeah, I completely agree. I actually like the player. Just don't see the fit. It's another guy who's going to play hard as hell. Tall wing, but has shooting woes. Another guy with a foot injury, by the way, coming off a foot injury. So, yeah, I agree with Gabe. I think this kid has a lot of potential to be a solid player for a team, but I just don't know if it's going to be OKC. We'll definitely see in the summer league. That's really all I have. It's a mid to late round second round pick, so you don't put much into it. Not everyone's going to be Jokic or Aaron Wiggins or Draymond Green, right, and Jalen Brunson. So
yeah,
it's a incomplete grade, and we'll just see what happens. But I mean, the kid himself, he seems like a hard worker, good ball player. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I truly hope he does. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to sit here and act like I don't want him to be good. Like he's a likable guy. He has promising flashes. Like I truly hope he comes out in the summer league and really balls out and kind of proves me wrong here. So hopefully you're right. Not everybody's Jokic and Wiggins, but hopefully he is.
Right.
I think something about Presti taking this guy with as deep of a roster as we have, I think this guy recognizes it's an uphill battle. For him to have that conversation with Presti and say like, take me anyways, I'm going to try to fight through this, shows a lot kind of just about his character. So I think at least for a season or two, he can be a two-way guy. We can evaluate him. At worst, he's in the G League, or even at best, he moves on to a different team and he shows out for us, and we may not have space for him, but I'm sure there's a bunch of other teams that probably could if he develops with us. And we've seen guys like Alex Caruso come in with us. The Lakers pick him up. There's a lot of teams that need guys right now that are on like first apron teams, second apron teams. So I'm sure they'd love to take a chance on this type of guy. So I think it's a great fit both ways, because anyone coming into OKC at least has a chance to show out to the rest of the league. And we've seen Charlotte and the Wizards always snatching up guys that we have. So at least you're guaranteed another shot in the NBA. Whereas, like, if you end up on the Nets as a two-way player, you may not even get another look at it. So I think from that perspective, big ups to him for taking on the challenge.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it for sure.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. That I agree. There's definitely a team that could afford to have a player like this. So hopefully, maybe it's with us. Hopefully it's with somebody, because I like him. So
awesome. We can transition over to trading our pick number 24 to the Sacramento Kings, who had selected Nick Clifford. OKC reportedly received a 2027 first-round pick that belonged to the Spurs. That's top 16 protected. It could become 2 2027 second-rounders if it doesn't convey. So either way, it's like a win-win scenario. Like, we kicked the can. We didn't have space for this player. We kind of got the guy that we wanted. Otherwise, we probably would have moved up if we thought, he was going to get drafted any higher than where he was going to be at. So I'm sure Presti at least made a couple calls and he was like, okay, it looks like we're probably going to get our guy from how the draft's falling. And we've seen him make moves in the past. So what do you guys think about this?
It's just Presti being Presti. I mean, you don't have an NBA draft without Sam Presti trading for future picks. So it made sense. Honestly, I probably would have been somehow a little bit upset if he did end up making that pick, because it would have just kind of felt useless. I mean, and that's not to say that our second today was useless, but it would have, then I would have been counting on him to trade the second. So I'd rather him trade the more valuable of the two, get something out of it. It makes sense. It's exactly what you expected. So makes sense.
Yeah, you had to trade one of these. I mean, due to the roster space, and why not trade the one that has more value than the 40 whatever pick? So I mean, it's whatever. It happens every year. Sam Presti knows what he's doing. So
exactly.
Yeah, we'll have an open two-way spot for the 44th pick. We'll open up at least one roster spot and maybe move one of the players down to a two-way position or something like that in the starting lineup. So it shouldn't be too much of an issue. I don't really see us doing any kind of major trades or anything like that. So we'll definitely bring in our guys here. So I'm kind of just excited. Also to mention, in 2027, I think we can all predict the Spurs will be in the playoffs, so they won't be having this top 16 protection. So we'll definitely end up, having a low 24 to 26, 28 draft pick at that time. And the 2026 and the 27 drafts are way more stacked than this one. So I understand why Presti moved off of it when you're going to get around the same spot, especially when the Spurs are probably going to be in the back end of the play-in and playoff tournaments. So we'll get solid picks at that range. So I really don't mind it. Like, it's pretty much equal value, like 2 years out. So I'm cool with that. And I guess the other thing we want to talk about for the draft is one loser and one winner. So does anyone want to go first, or should I kick it off?
I mean, I can go first here. I actually want to start with my loser first, just kind of get them out of the way. If I am, let me just be straightforward. If I'm a Nets fan, I am.
That was mine, bro.
If I'm a Nets fan, we had 5 first-round picks. We drafted, I believe it was. Let me double check before I say this. Let me double check. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 4 guards. And then the one guy who wasn't a guard is a forward who thinks he's a guard.
And none of them can shoot.
What are we doing, bro? I'm truly, when they were gassing up the Nets all night long, saying, well, they see what Sam Presti did and they're gonna do it too now. This is not what Sam Presti did, bro. The only one I'm like, okay, maybe is I can see a little bit of the potential in Igor, but not at pick 8, bro. Not at 8. No. And honestly, there were rumors that Presti was going to trade out for Igor. That would have upset me greatly. I hope that's just a rumor, but whatever. Back to the Nets. What are we doing? 4 guards on a team that did not need guards. They don't. That's the one thing they had going. They got Cam Thomas. They have D'Lo. They didn't need guards by any means, and they just drafted 4 of them, and then a forward who plays like a guard. Like I'm blown away that they just wasted 5 first-round picks in a pretty solid draft class. So that's pretty easily my loser. Sorry to take that one from you, Joe, but that shows the audience here how blatant that one was. But for my winner, this was kind of tough. I felt like a lot of teams did good. I enjoyed this draft, and I really liked it. I'm actually going to go with the Sixers here because they had to deal with something pretty tough here. There was the talent in the ceiling of Ace Bailey that is so incredibly tempting because the ceiling is very high. He is a athletic scoring machine. His size is good. His athleticism is good. Everything about Ace Bailey on the basketball standpoint, I am a big fan of. Except the guy blatantly has told you he doesn't want to play here. So now what's the decision there? And I just like them ending up with VJ. I don't hate this decision. I think VJ's got a lot of potential. He needs to be molded. I think he's a bit raw. He needs to be molded. But I could see us coming back to this draft class in a few years and thinking, wow, the Sixers did a good job of taking VJ instead of forcing Ace Bailey into their system. So I am excited to see VJ. I like what the Sixers did. I like that they avoided Ace, even though they could have forced him to play there, and they didn't. They went with VJ, and I was a big fan of that. So that's what I got.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Philly. I like VJ, especially the way Ace was conducting himself and how his team was setting up his draft. I mean, listen, he's got great potential, but that's just not how things are done, right? It's not how you handle yourself. So getting VJ, great defender, like you said, raw offensive talent, but definitely a talent. You pair him with Embiid, Maxey, Paul George, and a few other guys. East is wide open. Philly, I mean, McCain from last year. Yeah. Philly has a chance here, man. Philly has a chance for sure. Mm-hmm. But for me, I'll start with the winner, San Antonio Spurs. Getting Harper at 2. I think he's going to be excellent pairing with Fox and Castle, which is crazy to think about. And then they go and get Carter Bryant, which I was pretty high on him. Another raw talent, but just super athletic, plays hard, can shoot the ball. Kind of fits right into what San Antonio is looking for. So they got a squad, bro. If these players pan out, they got a squad. They're going to be around for a long time. So I'm gonna give it to San Antonio. I know it's kind of easy because they had the second pick, but whatever. And then the loser, I mean, I was going to go Brooklyn. What a fucking joke that was. But I'm going to go with Minnesota. Minnesota had 2 draft picks this year. Didn't fill one roster need. First round, they drafted a big Joan Bringer, whatever his name is. And then second round, they go to Australia and draft Rocco Zakarsky, another 7-footer. So now you draft 2 7-foot centers that are super young. I think the first kid's like 18 years old, not even like a player yet. Yeah. I mean, you made it to the conference finals, yes, but your roster's super incomplete. You needed to upgrade a bit. There's not many free agents, so you're going to go have to make a trade if you want to upgrade your roster, or you could have done it through the draft and grabbing 2 7-footers that have upside, but I don't see them making any noise this year. It just kind of sucks to be a Timberwolves fan right now.
I feel like they're pretty much admitting that they think they're going to lose Nas Reed. That's the way, which is crazy that's the one that they're okay with losing is Nas. You got to let Na go, not Nas. Like, Nickeil Alexander-Walker's a great player, but at the end of the day, you're keeping Nas. And this felt like a waving the white flag of saying we need centers. And that's like, you do? Like, that's not good.
Yeah, another thing what they did is they moved back twice.
That was dumb too. They could have had Fleming.
The second move, the trade back, they moved back 9 spots. Yeah. And they only got cash back. They didn't get any picks.
No.
Nothing. They just got cash. So miserable.
just doesn't add up.
Yeah, they pretty much said, whoever wants them, come do your best offer sheet and take them. I'm sure the Nets are going to give them a nice offer sheet. I'm going to move towards who I think was the biggest loser in this draft, bigger than the Nets. Nets were up there, but the Pelicans taking Derek Queen, and then the Hawks absolutely stealing Asa Newell that fell in the draft at 23. They moved down 10 spots. And on top of it, the Pelicans don't own their next 2026 first rounder, which is the most like stacked draft that will come around in a long time, on top of the fact that that was completely unnecessary. They could have mixed in some seconds, maybe some future firsts that are practically useless at most times, but they decided they're going to give their 2026. And then on top of it, they made it unprotected. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like, I don't care what player, you think you're going to go get. And I'm not going to sit here and project and say Derek Queen isn't going to end up being good or isn't going to be good around Zion or any of that. Like, he's a solid player, but I think it's one of the worst trades I've seen in a long time. I was live for it, and like my jaw dropped. I was like, dude, I'm so confused what's going on. I literally kept saying, what's going on? Like, is this real? Is this a prank? I legit thought it was a prank. Like, I thought this was like Centel or something at least, but it was actually real. I don't know what the Pelicans are doing. So yeah, I'm not even disappointed. I'm not I was shocked, but I wasn't disappointed. I understand that they're not a very well run franchise overall. Don't know what's going on over there. Absolute dumpster fire, but the Hawks made out pretty well with this. But I guess the team that I'll mention as, I guess, winners in this one, I feel like, I don't know. It's between, I'm gonna choose the Hornets, man. The Hornets haven't had a solid draft pick in Lord knows how long, to be honest. And Con Knipple going to them at number 4. I'm just honestly happy. Like, they always take a white guy, but at least they took the right white guy in this draft. And
Yeah,
I feel like MJ not being a part of the ownership group is probably helping a lot, where he doesn't have a lot of influence because he's like horrible at picking guys. And so they finally have started picking way better starting last season into this one. They needed a surefire guy that can space the floor. They're one of the worst 3-point shooting teams. And we know Con Knipple is going to, end up being a knockdown shooter.
Yeah.
Overall, I love the pick for them. 41% from 3, 91% from the line. Like, he's just a pure shooter. They also get rid of Mark Williams in the trade, and I believe they get to pick number 29 and a future 31. So they're stacking up on some picks there. And also, they don't move absolutely out of the draft as well. So just overall, like, it can't get any better if you're a Hornets fan. I believe they took Liam McNeely back in that. He's another great shooter to help out. So I feel like they had 2 really good draft picks. Overall, great draft. And I have not said that about the Hornets in the whole time I've been alive.
Yeah.
So great.
I'll give one quick update. Not a winner, but I love this. Can't believe he wasn't drafted. Milwaukee just signed Marcus Spears to a 2-way contract. Alabama point guard.
Yeah.
All-American. Cool. To me, super, super similar to Jalen Brunson. Like, obviously, don't take it the wrong way. The play guard might not be Jalen Brunson, but like super similar play style, super similar frame, smart player. Look out for him wherever he ends up.
It's always interesting after the draft to see which kind of like forgotten players get signed. You see so many names that you're like, you watched them play this year in college, and you're like, how did no one pick that guy up? So yeah, that's a good one for sure. There have been a lot of players. Hunter Dickinson, shockingly, just got to deal with the Pelicans. So that's another name. That's, like I said, shockingly. That's also a little bit of
the Pelicans.
A little bit of bias there from the Iowa State fan that's shitting on Hunter Dickinson.
I don't want to go on a rant, but one more thing about these Pelicans. Fears from Oklahoma. Good player. Stephen A. Smith goes on live television on ESPN and says he's the second coming of Kyrie Irving. The dude has never watched him in his life. They don't play anything alike. Not at all.
Crazy statement, bro.
Not at all alike. I think Fears has potential to be a very good six-man in this league. I hate that he went to New Orleans because
they're a dumpster. They're a confused dumpster fire right now.
But Stephen A. is what an idiot, bro.
Dude, he has handles nowhere close. Like his handles are like so far away.
Oh, the game is completely different.
Doesn't even play.
It's not even just about the game, but like his handles are nowhere close.
No.
Nowhere close. But I'm glad you mentioned that.
That's dumb.
Let's move to the most interesting trade of the summer so far. The one that's probably the most anticipated. Second most anticipated if you think Giannis is being traded, but I don't think that's happening. So Kevin Durant has been traded to the Houston Rockets. They extended Fred VanVleet. They extended Steven Adams. They've got pretty much a lot of their core locked up. They're probably going to add some depth pieces here and there. But overall, the offseason is pretty much, locked and loaded. They send Jalen Green, I believe, over to the Suns, along with the Demon Defender. So I feel like it's a solid trade overall. I think the Suns got like 5 seconds, maybe 1 or 2 first in that deal. So
5 seconds. They got the 10th pick.
Yeah, and they got the 10th pick that turned into Kaman Malawak. The Suns also turned, I believe, possibly one of the picks into Mark from the Hornets. So it's been a crazy, I think, turnaround for both teams. One team, is trying to go to contender status with the Rockets, and the Suns are trying to make their way back into the playoffs. And I feel like both teams are kind of accomplishing that slowly. But I would say, my opinion, before you guys shoot it off, is they're right there. But I don't think either team thinks, or at least I don't think either team is as close as they think they are to both of their objectives. Like, I think the Suns are more of a play-in team now than a playoff team, which is what they're hoping. And instead of contenders, I think they're closer to pretenders, where they're a second-round exit with the Rockets versus like they're going to win the Western Conference. I just don't see them beating Jokic. I don't see them beating us. I don't see them beating even Anthony Edwards. They don't have the personnel for that, and they traded one of their best perimeter defenders as well. I think that's a really underrated move. That's just my initial thoughts on it. Now you guys can, go ahead.
I think I definitely agree with what you're saying about Houston. I am seeing people act like Houston is a guarantee to win it all next year, and I don't think that they're understanding. My biggest thing is I just do not think KD's going to work with Houston. I see so many problems coming between him and Sengun crowding the floor. I think Sengun's production is going to drop off of a cliff when Kevin Durant is on the court. Offensively, I don't know how they're going to work together. I mean, I know they're not playing the same position, but it just feels like Sengun is no longer going to be the guy at times, and he's going to have to understand that and become more of a traditional big man, doing more of crashing the boards, getting rebounds, trying to swing it out. But Durant, I also just don't think he fits the culture. This Houston culture is rough. I mean, they are rough. They play hard. They are just very contact heavy. Kevin Durant is not a contact heavy player, as we know. He is a very surgical, slices and dices through, gets his shots up. I just don't like the fit, frankly. And that's funny because I predicted that he would go to Houston, and I didn't like it when I thought he would go there, but I still thought he would end up there. So I agree with you, Xavier. Getting rid of Dylan Brooks is a much bigger deal than they realize. Dylan Brooks, people hate the guy. He is a dog. He is their version of Alex Caruso. He does the same thing. He is a aggressive, annoying defender who can knock down the three at a high volume. Like, yeah, he's a good player. He's
close to like a Lou Dort level defender with how much defensive output that he puts out. Like the amount of energy that it takes to defend at the level that he defends at. Like, there's not many NBA players willing to put that much energy into defense nowadays. So just to lose that and think, you're going to be solid with just one solid perimeter defender, Like KD's going to get picked on in pick and roll. Sengun is going to get picked on. Fred VanVleet. Like they just have a lot of holes that I don't think they're recognizing all the way.
Right.
Jabari is a solid defender. Like he's solid. They have some other defensive pieces like Tari coming off the bench, whatever. But in the starting lineup, you can't have 3 guys that are getting picked on, and that's what I see with them.
Yes.
Well,
the thing that I hate, Amen Thompson is their new shooting guard. That is terrible.
That's not a good.
He better not play. He can't. He seriously can't. Do you know what the first word of shooting guard is? Not Amen Thompson, dog. He ain't shooting. That they are not going to be spacing the floor well. Amen Thompson cannot shoot the ball. They just signed an extension for Fred VanVleet, who is still making more money in his contract than like minutes played, which is just ridiculous. Fred VanVleet is not – I'm about to start hating. Fred VanVleet is not a good basketball player, dog. He's not. He's fine. But I don't want him as my
NBA champion you're talking about.
Yeah, 4 or 5 years ago, buddy. I don't give a shit anymore. I got to chill. Houston fans are going to go out my head. I don't like him as your starting point guard, and I hate Amen Thompson, your starting shooting guard. I love the player. Great potential. No world should he be anywhere other than the 3 or 4. In no world at all. And at this point, like right now,
they traded their 2 floor spacers, Gabe. Like this is hilarious.
It's terrible. And right now, their depth chart at this moment has Jabari coming off the bench and them starting Terry Eason. What?
That guy fouls out quicker than I can even think, man. So.
Well, if they're afraid of shooting, don't get me wrong. I don't think Jabari Smith is like incredible. I'd rather him on the court than Terry Eason. Terry Eason is fine.
Jabari will start. That's KD's dog. KD fucked with him coming out of Auburn. So.
That's great. You're not going to win games. So Houston, I feel like we dog on Houston a lot on this podcast. We get Houston fans pretty upset. But I'm still here where I just don't like this. I don't even like their depth. Their backup guards are Reed Shepherd, who they gave up on like a week into the season and put him in the G League. And then Aaron Holiday is their backup point guard. They do not have depth other than Steven Adams. And in like Cam Whitmore, he's great in the G League. That's about it. He'll maybe drop a 16-point game here and there, but Houston is not good.
Cam's the one bright spot coming off the bench. We know Steven Adams is going to be solid. Tari is okay coming off the bench, but if he has to start playing way more minutes, I don't trust him on the court to not pick up 5,000 15 minutes or something.
Yeah.
So they do have some issues. Hopefully, I think they're betting on Reed Shepherd to improve a bunch. They're making a lot of bets on a lot of young guys very early. And I didn't see enough offense from a lot of those guys, man. I'm going to let Joe hop into the conversation because I feel like we're dragging on this team right now.
Yeah, I was going off.
Yeah. So the way I see it, and Sabio disagrees with me, but I think Phoenix they have no idea what they're doing, man. I mean, if you think Durant, Beal, and Booker, you saw Durant, Beal, and Booker didn't work. You think Green, Beal, and Booker is going to work, bro? You got to move Green. I think it's time to fully rebuild. If you even want to move Booker, I don't really believe in building around Devin Booker. I don't really see that vision there. I've never seen it at all with Devin Booker. So Phoenix, and then you draft a big and trade for a big in the same 30-second span. One's injury prone. One I'm not super high on. Phoenix is a dumpster fire. And then they traded a first-round pick for Mark too, and they don't have any first to give up. So a joke of a team over there. I don't believe they'll be sniffing playoffs. It'd surprise me if they did.
I wouldn't be shocked if they snuck into the playoffs. I'm not gonna lie. They can. A lot of teams can sneak in because of the play-in. So there can be injuries. There can be a lot of stuff where they can end up as an 8 seed. I definitely don't think they're going to be a 7 seed or anything.
They didn't even make it this year with Kevin Durant. I don't believe that they're going to make it with Jalen Green. Anyway, Houston. I understand. I understand you lost James. You haven't had a star in a while. Your team's getting good. You want to go out and get a star, but damn, bro, you got a guy coming off. He's got 1 year left on his deal, Durant. They're going to extend it for 2 years, $120 million fucking dollars. for a guy who's going to retire after in Houston. That's what he's planning to do anyway. We don't know if that's going to actually end up happening. And like the other guys said, I mean, no bench depth. Are you going to go out and try to get like a Jrue Holiday to pair Kevin Durant? Like, that's two old guys. There's not a lot of moves left to make for this team, and it's a really incomplete roster. Don't get it wrong. I fuck with Fred VanVleet, but yeah, I don't think he's a top tier point guard. I think Amon should be running 1. I low key like Amon at the 1 or the 4 for them, but not the 2. Jabari's still raw, super young still, and he gets to learn from Kevin Durant now, but
that's a plus. Yeah.
Bro, that trade just does not make you a contender in this West. They're still not beating Jokic. They're still not beating OKC. I don't think they'll beat the Lakers when their roster's all set and done. The Clippers, I don't think they're beating the Clippers if they're fully healthy. I mean, guys, it's a lose-lose situation for both of these teams, and I'm loving it because screw Houston. They talk all that trash. Oh, Kevin Durant. When has Kevin Durant led his own team to a championship?
Yeah, that's another thing. That's facts.
You're going to pair this 38-year-old dude, or 37, whatever he is, sign him for 3 years, give him all the money in the world, with a bunch of young guys who haven't proven shit, and then Steven Adams.
Yep.
It's going to set you guys back a minute. They're going to be set back a while.
Yeah, I agree.
I want to hop in and mention who was the leading scorer on the Houston Rockets, guys.
Last year?
Yeah.
Jalen Green, probably.
Exactly. That's my point, man. They just got rid of their leading scorer at age 23. I think the Suns' future just opened so wide because it's you went from a 37-year-old Kevin Durant to a possible future cornerstone player next to Devin Booker. Obviously, Devin Booker's not too young, but he's 28. But still, you get a really young piece that you can test out for a while. If it doesn't work out, you can trade him or trade both of them and rebuild, whatever. But now your future doesn't look bleak as, all heck, man. So I think the Suns, even if they don't do anything this year and they get into a playoff or play-in situation, they at least have an opportunity to rebuild. Whereas I feel like the Houston Rockets are worse off because now they have this blind hope of KD's going to lead us there. If KD couldn't do it at age freaking 23, you think he's going to do it at age 37? I really don't think so.
The roster's super incomplete. And unless you're thinking about going out and getting someone else, I don't even know who's available. Jrue Holiday's probably super available right now. He doesn't want to be in Portland, but outside of him,
yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of guys that open up and stuff. They'll definitely fill out some more vets because they do want to contend. So they'll have some solid depth coming in because I don't think they believe in their rookies anyways. So I see them making some more moves, but even if they make a couple moves around the edges, I just don't think that's enough to compete in this type of Western Conference. I haven't seen Kevin Durant engaged on the defensive end in outside of the 2 years he was at Golden State Warriors, and I don't know what magic Steve Kerr had to tell him to play defense. But outside of those 2 years, I've literally not seen Kevin Durant defend at a high level. He's been mediocre at best, and we would know that as Thunder fans. So, yeah, I don't know about this trade, but let's keep it rocking and rolling to some more.
One last thing.
Okay, go ahead.
Durant hasn't had a fully healthy season since I was 5 years old. So that's it. And they traded their best defender, the guy who came in to Houston and changed the whole culture.
Yeah, they just traded their essentially their logo for their culture.
Yep.
Just traded him. And I'm on Satvir's side. I am a big fan of Jalen Green. I think there is so much potential for him. Joe is not.
Joe, he's gonna be nice next to Devin Booker.
I think there's a lot of
it's good for Phoenix because they could trade him for something.
Yeah,
and they seem to want to. That's kind of a theory is that they are looking to ship him, which.
But I still think that's a way better off situation than you're stuck with KD about to retire.
Absolutely. I'm just if they're planning on keeping Jalen,
it'll be interesting. Yep.
Okay.
Well, I think even if they keep him and he works out, great. And if he doesn't work out from 2 years from now, you trade him away.
Exactly.
Like it's all
Exactly.
good, man.
Still got value because he's so
Yeah.
young.
They'll
Should have
still have
picked up a
value.
few first, though. They only got one. They should, instead of 5 seconds, they should have picked up another first rounder.
They definitely could have, but still, they got rid of KD. That was a whole win on its own. So
Yeah, I think it's a win regardless. Let's move over to the Boston Celtics. They've been making a lot of moves here, moving on from Jrue. They've also moved on from KP, Kristaps, Porziņģis to the Hawks. Hawks are destroying the draft, also destroying it on the trade end. Which trade do you guys want to get into first?
Let's do the Jrue one since it happened first.
All right, so we can look at that real quick.
That's an interesting one for sure.
So they had
that one.
Simons joining on an expiring contract from the Portland Trailblazers, Anthony Simons, and 2 second-round draft picks, and they trade Jrue to Portland, which saves them $40 million in luxury tax payments this upcoming season, I guess, and in total they save $72 million on his contract in total. So I feel like it's a great move for them. From the Portland end, I'm going to give my initial thoughts and let you guys take over on this trade package. But I think this is the most ridiculous thing you can ever do if you're like a rebuilding team. I think the only silver lining to this is like Jrue is very valuable. Even at age 34, he's probably looked at like as a Caruso level contending type of piece where I could see like a bunch of contenders essentially going after him. I'm sure Milwaukee would love to have him back. I'm sure the Rockets would love to have him right now. I'm sure the Lakers need a guard that's a defensive-minded guy next to Luka. So I'm sure every team that's a contending team outside of, I guess, OKC and a couple others wouldn't mind having him and, shelling out some first rounders or something. So I'm sure that's what's happening with that situation. But Anthony Simons, solid pickup. He's a solid 3-point shooter. I feel like they're going to be better off with a 26-year-old guard that's comfortable shooting from the 3-point line. He shoots a high volume, 9 threes per game, which is right along with what Joe Mazzulla wants to do. I feel like it's solid. It's a solid move. He's on an expiring deal. You can move him after this season or try to keep him if you want to keep him. You'll probably get some value. I think they're just trying to extract some picks while Tatum's gone, and great move for them.
Yeah, we see this happen with super teams or not even super teams, just very good teams. At some point, you just can't handle those contracts. You can't handle the second apron. It just starts to fall apart. And that's kind of what we're watching here with Boston. They're kind of retconning the whole thing, and it doesn't help that Tatum's out. That's really the cherry on top of this season's kind of a wash to them, essentially, in my opinion. They're going to want to see what they can do, but there's no chance of competing. There's just not, unless they make some kind of other trade or a sign. But I'm very mixed on this for Boston, because on one hand, I think you do good at getting the return of Anthony. Anthony is young enough. He's a good player. He's shown that he has a lot of spurts and whatnot. The other thing that I'm not sure how I feel about is just kind of him in a role on this team, because right now, are you having him run the point, or are you having who's the point? Is he coming off the bench? Is JB dropping to the 3 instead, and he'll be the 2?
He'll probably be the 2. He's been a combo guard his whole career, pretty much. He's not trusted really as a number 1. Right. That's why they picked up the point guard on the Blazers recently, Scoot. So he's definitely someone that can be a primary ball handler. Do I want him to be? Probably not. I just want him to space the floor. So
yeah, I'm just anxious about his fit with this team. I agree with what you're saying about the high volume of threes. That's obviously something Mazzulla's going to love. However, that's also a player who was on a Blazers team that was pretty much given the ball every single time and told to do whatever he wants. He's not going to be shooting 9 threes on a Celtics team unless it's like this, where they're kind of the skeleton of what the Celtics were last year. But I don't hate it by any means. Trailblazers, on the other hand, what's the point? What's the goal other than thinking he has value so we can ship him. But like even then, I think you could have gotten a very similar package, if not more, for Anthony Simons from a team that wants a young guy like that. Like Anthony has value. It's not like he's like, I just don't really see the whole idea in let's just get Jrue and then immediately ship him. I mean, that feels like pretty much Boston just called them first and said, hey, we need to dump this contract, give him to us, and we'll let you do whatever you want and whatnot. So I don't get it. I don't like it. But we'll see what Portland does. Maybe they can flip it and make a good choice. And as for Boston, this is going to be a weird season for their fans because it's not going to be what they've been used to.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, I was going to dive into like a lot of Boston. I'm not going to try to predict what Brad Stevens is doing over there. Whatever he's doing, he has a plan. I don't know if they're done, if they're just getting started. I don't know if they're going to keep Simons. I don't know if they're going to let him go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to try to predict that, but good trade for them. Dumping Jrue's salary. Oh, what is Portland doing? You're a team that just missed the play-in last year. Played pretty damn well towards the end of the season. Like they went on a huge winning streak. Then you just give up one of your better players for Jrue Holiday? Solid player, but he looks like he's meeting, father time. Are they going to flip him? Or if they flip him, does that put them in a better position? I don't think so. And you gave up picks.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible. But that's all I'm going to say for that because I do think sooner than later we will have another Boston update. So,
yeah, I think we'll have a Portland update on Jrue as well. Let's move over to the Kristaps Porziņģis move that they made. It was a 3-team trade. I'll cover it here real quick. Celtics send center Kristaps Porziņģis a second-round pick to the Hawks, while Terrence Mann, Atlanta's number 22, goes to the Nets. And finally, Georges Niang, a second-rounder, landed with the Celtics, which is a funny story in itself. The Celtics end up saving $180 million in luxury taxes between the two players that they got off their books. Their tax relief overall is going to be was going to be over, I believe, $500 million. So they save $180 million on that, which is ridiculous amount of savings, especially when you're not really going to be anywhere because it should be ring or bust for every team. And I think that's how the Celtics always play their seasons. So Boston also receives like Cleveland's 2031 second round pick. Hawks had the rights to that. Atlanta also will take Boston's least favorable 2026 second rounder in this trade. Let's start talking about it. I'll let you guys start this off because I've got some thoughts on it.
All I know is Georges Niang is one of the winningest players in the NBA. But you get Georges Niang, you're getting a dog, all right, a straight winner. On a serious note, I mean that is a serious note, but on the more serious note, I think the Hawks are finally getting over the line of mediocrity, and I'm happy for them because I am. You guys might not like this. I don't know. I like Trae Young. No one else does. I like Trae Young. I liked him in college, which is crazy because I'm an Iowa State fan. I watched him belt to ass every time we played him. But I like Trae Young. I really do. Trae Young is great. I love watching him play other than the turnovers, but great guy. He needed help bad. He's needed help bad. Jalen Johnson's coming on. That's great. But I hated the DeJounte Murray duo with him. It just, one of them was off the court with an injury. The other one played good. And then when the other one's on the court, they just could not work together. I like KP. I think that's a good fit. I could see those two playing very well together. And then with the draft they just had, like, Atlanta's doing something. They're going straight for the East. They know it's open right now. I really like that for Atlanta. Boston, again, man, I don't like this one. I get it. I get why they did it. They had to do it. No other choice. But I don't love this one. I think the Anthony return was good for Jrue. I don't think this is a good return. Kristaps Porziņģis, I know he's injury prone. He is a good player. He is the unicorn. We were literally calling him the unicorn when he first got drafted. the guy is good. Like, it's undeniable that he is a useful player if he's healthy. So I do wish Boston could have gotten a better return. But yeah, Atlanta, that's my takeaway from this trade. They're on the come up.
Yeah, both of you guys completely disagree with me, but I think Atlanta's a bunch of morons. I actually like Trae Young as well, but
Joe, breaking news, Joe does not like the NBA.
no, Joe loves the NBA, but there's just so many morons that run teams. Atlanta's been stuck in like a purgatory type setting for the last couple of years.
Yep.
They're decent, then they're bad, then they're okay, then they're bad.
Yep.
And then you add Porziņģis and his contract, which is not going to make you any better per se. Maybe a little bit. If he's on the court, he might be a bit better. I watched Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porziņģis play together, and they didn't win shit. I'm telling you right now, Trae Young and Porziņģis won't. And Jalen Johnson, I mean, sure, I know Sapir likes him, but sure, he's up and coming. But the core of Trae Young, Kristaps, and Jalen Johnson is not going to win you anything. And now you're just picking up more cash. Why are you spending on Kristaps? Why are you spending money on Kristaps Porziņģis this late in his career? I'll never understand them. Good for the Nets on getting Terrence Mann and the 22nd for not giving up anything. So good for them. And yeah, I mean, this is another salary dump for Boston. I think they could have got more in return draft capital wise. Because I don't think they won players back. I mean, they're trying to dump salary. But yeah, I mean, the Hawks are stupid. I like Trae Young. I rooted for him when he was in the playoffs, when he beat the Sixers, when he lost to Milwaukee. Adding that much money in a Porziņģis contract is not going to make you better in the long term or the short term. I'm sorry.
Let me hop in here.
Dude couldn't breathe in the playoffs. There's something going on with him. He wasn't sick for 90 days.
Let me protect the Atlanta Hawks fans. I did an off-season guide for them. That was my first video on my other channel. Onyeka Okongwu has moved into the starting lineup. They're going to probably trade Clint Capella for some resources. They also have the number 1 overall pick that people have all forgotten about, Zachary Richarche.
Like the worst number 1 pick ever.
And they also made well with Asa Newell, I believe, in this draft. So overall, they're starting to accumulate talent around Trae Young, and that's really all you can hope for if you're a Hawks fan. And honestly, if you're Trae Young, that's all you're asking for is just put some guys around me. I'm going to be a dog. We've seen him do it his whole career. Like he's one of those guys where it's like he just steps up to the plate when you have enough players around him to kind of cover up his gaps. And he doesn't have that many gaps other than defense. Like, it's hard for him to defend at his size. But outside of that, like, he's one of the best offensive engines. He averaged the most assists. He's probably going to average even more assists this season. That's unheard of for a player at his size. He's doing crazy things. His three-point shooting kind of took a dip, but he needed some floor spacers. I think they brought in some good floor spacing now. They also have Dyson Daniels next to him. So I feel like overall they've been making well. Like, they got rid of DeJounte Murray. They've done amazing in the draft. They picked up KP. I mean, they're trying to do everything they can. I think the biggest factor, Joe, I do agree with you, is the health of this team. They've already seen some injuries over the years. If they have a healthy season, I could see them in the Eastern Conference Finals pretty easily. Them versus the Magic, I could see that. It'd be a fun Eastern Conference Finals. They could knock out your Knicks. I definitely believe in Trae Young a little bit more than I would believe in a one-on-one matchup against Jalen Brunson. I'm taking Trae Young, in my opinion, especially with the roster that they have right now. You may not agree with that take. That may sound laughable to you, but
no. I'm actually not laughing at that. There's just one thing. You can continue. I
was just gonna say, like, the depth of the Knicks don't really impress me from what I've seen, and the depth of this Hawks team is just getting better and better. Brooklyn made out good with this trade. Solid for them. Cool. They get another piece, some more draft capital. I feel like I love what the Atlanta Hawks are doing right now. If I had to choose 3 teams that I had to predict that would go to the Eastern Conference Finals, Magic, Hawks, and the Cavaliers are probably my top 3 picks. And New York's probably 4th on the list for me. And those are probably the only competing teams, unless somehow
what if Philly's healthy? What if
somehow the Bucks, huh?
What if Philadelphia is healthy?
Dude, asking Philadelphia to make the Eastern Conference Finals is like asking for like the fucking Clippers to make it, dude. Like, I'm tired of it. Stop bringing both of those teams up into the conversation. Like,
super fair.
I'm not bringing up either of them. Like, I don't even bring them up into contending teams because like the Clippers have been a dumpster fire, and so is the 76ers. Also, Daryl Morey had his presser recently, and that was a super dumpster fire, which I loved watching, by the way. I enjoyed every minute of it because he didn't know what to say. He was super flustered by all the extremely hard questions that they were asking him about like Paul George's health, Embiid's health, because there's no really response for him to give. And they're also going to lose Yabusele over there. So downfall of Daryl Morey. Let's go.
Yeah. One last thing from me. If you're Atlanta, I mean, yeah, they got some players. I don't agree with the conference finals pick at all. Another thing is like, yeah, you traded away DeJounte's $28 million. Now you could pay Kristaps $31. Come on, bro. Like, now, not only are you paying Kristaps $31, you're helping the Celtics unload what they needed to better them in the long run, and you're a team who plays against Boston 8 times a year.
That's a decent point. I'll give you that one.
I'll take that point. The other point that I'll take, Joe, is we haven't mentioned this, and I thought someone would. Kristaps has a unknown disease.
He's got COVID-21. So, like,
bro's got COVID 3000 or something.
He couldn't breathe for 90 days. They were running in the playoffs, and he could not breathe, bro. So, like,
yeah, he's definitely got something going on a serious note. So hopefully they can figure out what that is. I would never take the risk on an unknown illness on a player.
It's not even that. It's like, sure, the unknown illness, yeah, and the injury history, but then the 31 mil. Like,
it's a big contract. Yeah,
come on.
I mean, the contract, he's going to outplay it. Like, the player he is now isn't the same player he used to be. He's solid off the block. He's good at floor spacing, whatever. Like, he's going to play that contract pretty well. Like, it's not the worst situation contract-wise. I think injury and illness is a little bit worse for him. So that's kind of be TBD for them. But honestly, if they have a healthy roster like the last month of, the Eastern Conference season.
Maybe I'll give you that. I think they could maybe push, but I don't see conference finals.
I think they could, if they have the right matchups. Like, let's say they play like the Bucks, who lack depth, and they play the Knicks. They could easily end up, they could even play like a Boston team that's super, low on depth and everything. I could see Boston still making it and being like a 6-7 seed or something. But if they ran into like Detroit or something, it'd be tough for them. So
it'll be interesting to see for sure. I'm just interested. We're not even like remotely close to the next season, and stuff's already like super interesting. So I'm looking forward to this offseason. I'm looking forward to all these teams, especially the Magic. That's a fun one. We kind of talked about that in an earlier episode with Bane and whatnot. But yeah, the East is open. We'll see who gets aggressive and really tries to take it here. So I think we can probably wrap up the episode there. Ran a little over an hour for you guys there, just talking about draft and trades. But yeah, so weekly episodes will be back now that the actual playoffs are done. So expect more content than normal. Expect more posts on all social media platforms. We'll be doing what we can. But yeah, as always, thank you guys for listening. And we'll catch you guys in the next actual episode.
And